It's about time.
Welcome everybody to Quick Casts. My name is Jeremy Paul, also known as Sleepy Juice, and today we're going to be looking at a ZVT between our Zerg player Shark and our Terran hero Mark. And yes, those rhyme, and it's hard to say. So let's go ahead and jump right into the game and we'll take a look at this one. Alright, now for those of you who've never seen Quick Cast before, what's wrong with you? Go back to our YouTube channel and see the last 4 videos. You'll see me actually get a little bit more comfortable with this and a little bit better. It's always good to know where people are coming from, right? And then like and subscribe and make sure you follow us on all the Twitter and Facebook things. So that's enough of the shameless plug there. But the basic idea is, besides casting a game of StarCraft, we also go through and we try to pick a single concept out of the game that we can describe more in detail to help newer players or players that are in lower leagues that don't necessarily have complete grasps of all the concepts that are going on. So for today's game, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at what type of decision making and what you should do when a game goes completely awry. And the reason we're going to be going with that is because you can see we have an SCV already traveling across the map here, and the Zerg player not really scouting very well. Now it should be said that this is a platinum level game, so there are going to be mistakes on either side, but at the same time it's good enough to where there's going to be some incredible micro to watch and some good concepts and decision making. And we can see the first barrack is already going down, and there's already a SCV coming across it through a second one. So what this is going to be is a 2 proxy racks push into the natural of the Zerg, and assuming the Zerg goes for an expansion here, which they will, it's going to be very difficult for them to hold off since there's no spawning pool and no Zerglings. So the hatchery's going down at the natural there. So this game is going to go very different to what the normal ZVP or TVZ is, where Terran's going to open up with some sort of pressure build to expand, and then they're going to go into Marine, Mine, and to Medivacs, whereas the Zerg's going to fast expand and attempt to survive while going into Zerglings, well, Speedlings in particular, Banelings, and Mutas. The Mutas, of course, to help with the drops. And then further on they'll go down in the Ultralist, where Terrans tend to hang around that mid-game army a little bit longer. You can see the scout going in, and here come all of the SCVs to help with this push. He's going to try to end the game now. So we have the first Marine out, the next 2 Marines are coming out. We have 6 SCVs total on this side of the map. There's 5 here and then 1 actually up in the main. And then it's going to come back down here. So the Zerg, to respond to this, well, doesn't really know. He knows there's an SCV, but he already has the spawning pool down, so he's going to at least have Zerglings out shortly. And you can see his vision. He sees the bunker coming down here right next to the natural, and the SCVs moving in, and now he sees everything. All the Marines and all the SCVs. He pulls his drones down. The drones are going to try to get us around on the Marines and try to take out the SCV building the bunker there, because if that bunker gets built, then it's really hard to stop this push. And we have some great micro there from the Marines being able to pull them out from the surround. They're pushing 1 to the north and 1 to the south there. And the drones are still trying to get us around, but that bunker is going to finish. And it looks like these Marines are going to try to get in there, and the one Marine's going to get picked off in the south, but the other one just is able to get there, and the drones run away, which is for good, the good there. And they're going to actually start making spine crawlers. Now this is a great decision making from the Zerg here, because spine crawlers are going to be able to A, outrange the bunker, and B, they're going to be able to withstand the Marine shots for a tiny bit longer. And we can kind of see he's trying to take shots at those spines, but he's unable to get them. There you go, we got another Marine picked off because he had to try to go in there. The great drone drill with the SCVs there to get out of the surround. He's pulling out the Marines to try to take down the spines. Now, the Zerglings, every time he's going to do that, the Zerglings are going to come in. They're not going to be aggressive unless those Marines are outside of that bunker. And now we can see the spines are finished. So this is going to start picking away at this bunker here, as well as the SCVs. There he goes. He's target firing the SCVs so that he can get those down. And we're going to see some Zerglings come out, surround the SCVs from the back, and then they're all going to go down. And with that bunker going down, that's going to signify the end of this push. Where he's going to lift up both of the barracks, fly them back home, and the Zerglings are going to come out and just chase these Marines back to their home. So the question now is, where do you go from this? We look at the economy of both players there, And whenever there is something a little bit cheesy happening, you can see he only has 11 workers where the Zerg only has 7. So it not only hurts the Zerg when their drones are attacked that early in the game, but it actually hurts the Terran and whoever's doing the high aggression at that point, because they can't afford to just be making SCVs nonstop. Now, in saying that, we're not saying that every sort of aggressive cheese build is all in. It's more that that cheese build is dependent on doing some sort of damage or economic damage to the opponent for it to be worth it. Otherwise, that player will be playing from behind, and we can see here this Marine's going to try to get away. The Zerglings are actually getting into the base here. This last Marine's going to try to pull away, but it's going to get away. Nope, it looks like the SCVs are able to get in there last second and hold them off, and we've already had the wall up. So there is no expansion here for the Terran, and the Terran is not producing 2 SCVs at a time. There's nothing he can do but try to keep up with the drone. If the Zerg player were to just fully drone hard at this point, he would be able to just bypass the count completely. But whether it's proxy 2 racks, or if it's a cannon rush, or if it's a proxy gateway, or even a 6 pool, or any sort of like speedling aggression at the beginning, all of that's going to put that player economically behind. So once that's held, if you can hold that off and take little to no economic damage, and as you get higher in leagues, you're going to get better at that. The question then becomes, what do you do from there? Now, there's always going to be fancy answers to that question. You're going to see things like people countering cannon rushes with proxy void rays and such things, but what I find is best for lower league players and for players that are just learning to play is to just work your way back to playing standard. And this game here, we're going to see 2 very good players do similar things to get to that point, but they're both going to go back to their mid-game plan. We're going to see Mark actually just go for 2 command centers really fast inside his main base and then delay his tech. And he's going to get to his medevacs and his widow mines a little bit later than normal, and his expansions will be slightly delayed also, but his goal is to get up to that 3 base army so he can start adding pressure to the Zerg and actually just wear him down. Now on the Zerg side, what we're seeing is he's putting down his Baneling nest now, and he's getting speed. He's actually going to be focusing more on getting his tech to get to that Ling, that Speedling, Baneling, Muta army with Ultralisk to the end, and he's going to actually be delaying his expansions. He's not going to be expanding nearly as fast as he could be if that aggression didn't happen. And in all honesty, watching it a little bit, he could actually expand a little bit faster than he does in this game. But we'll kind of forgive that because there was so much aggression. It does tend to make players be a little bit more defensive through the mid game. So now to put that in kind of perspective for any Protoss players that are watching, because we don't have a Protoss player in this game, just on a note, we can see him going up to layer there in the Zerg base. We can also see Stim coming down, and we have an evolution chamber coming down also so that the Zerg player can start his upgrades. We do see the factory starting also, and pay attention to these little splits here by the Terran player. He does this all game long. They're wonderful. But if we go and take this in essence to where the Protoss would be going, so let's say it's a Protoss instead of the Zerg, and they get proxy 2 racks and they hold it off as best as they can. At that point there, what they're going to want to do is go up to 2 bases. They're going to want to get a single Colossus out at the very least to hold off that medevac push when it comes. They're going to want to expand to a 3rd after the Terran player expands to the 3rd, and they're going to want to build up to Storm on top of that Colossus production. Just they want to go back into that normal mid-game, and they want to do it as fast as they can without actually gimping themselves as far as economy. So we do see some Zerglings coming across the map here, and they're going to poke up. And you can kind of see they see the army there in the natural, and he's going to have a good idea that there's an expansion there now. And now looking at the production tab, we can see that we have a wall coming in for the Terran player. The Zerg player saw the army there and is still focusing more on making Zerglings, even though he's expanding at this time, which is very good, instead of making drones. So you can see he has 10 Zerglings in production, even though he has that new hatchery coming up. So he's going to be running really light on drones throughout this entire game. We do have the starport coming down also. This is going to help him make medevacs, which are going to be important for drops, and besides that, keeping his bio alive. Banelings are really tough for lower league players to deal with as Terran. But we're going to see some really good ways to deal with these coming up here with Mark's control. But it looks like what we have going on now is a Baneling bust. We have some Zerglings coming in to take a look and see if they can peek at the wall. They do see that it's a fully walled off area. We have a bunker, so he's probably going to end up target firing that bunker with the Banelings and try to roll in. We'll see if he has enough forces. It's a fairly small army at this point. And we do have combat shields coming down also, so that'll help the Marines stay alive also. And here come the Banelings. The Banelings are going to come up into the main, and a few of them are going to connect there, but I think that was too little. So we don't have any Banelings left, and the Zerglings and the Roaches there are just going to have to bug out. The Marines and the Marauders are going to chase them down a little bit, but the Roaches, as slow as they are, we don't normally see too many Roaches at this point in the game. They're all going to head home. Right now in the production tab, we can see that both armies are basically filling out their mid-game units there. You can see both are not at super high worker counts. They're at almost 2 base saturation, while both of them actually have three command centers or hatcheries, even though the Terran player only has 2 bases filled out. We do see the Spire is about halfway done, and we do see some upgrades coming through as far as attack and as far as Baneling speed. We do have on the Terran side, we have more attack upgrades coming up, and we do have medevacs coming out, and we do have mines out already. So we are getting to the point where we're going to need to engage and trade some army so that we can expand as a Terran player or wear down the forces to keep the drops at a minimum if we're the Zerg player. Now this map in particular, we kind of go over this since we didn't do it earlier, we were talking about other stuff, is Derelict Watcher, and it's a basic 2-player map. The only really noticeable feature for this is there's a large open area between the natural and the third that makes it hard. So what we have going on now is we have the Terran player moving across the map. We can see that there's not a whole lot of stuff lost already. Even with that aggression, he only killed about 6 drones. We have Widow Mines burrowing down. This is going to keep the Zerglings a little bit more honest, and let's see how the Terran player goes and does this. He's pushing in, stims. Good split. He's getting ready for the Banelings there, so he's splitting up all his Marines. That's a very hard thing to do if you're in lower levels, so just practice that. There are custom games for that. And here come the Banelings. The Banelings are able to do small connections on that one. And it looks like, oh, we have a good connection there, and it looks like Terran player is going to start pushing up the ramp there, but it looks like the Spinecrawler is going to hold him at bay. We do have a bunch of Marines up there and a couple Banelings left. Now he's all clumped together, so here comes the Banelings again. And he gets a tiny connection on the left. That's not nearly enough. And we have the Widow Mines coming in. The Widow Mines are going to hopefully drill down somewhere around there. But right now we have a clumped up army there, so hopefully nothing too much goes on as far as Baneling goes. And he does have some more morphing right now. He does take the third behind this and drops the mules there so he can get the production going again. He's going to sneak in here and try to take care of this third base. He's drilling the mines right there on the ramp so that they can come up and keep his rear protected. And it looks like that's a good call because here comes the Banelings and the Marines, or the Banelings and the Lings, and everything goes up into the medevac, and he tries to get out of there, and he's going to go actually and back off to where the reinforcements are, and he's going to drop down and keep the pressure on. That's what he wants to do, the Zerg. He doesn't want them to be able to tech up and expand. He wants to keep the pressure on. And we can see there's a bunch more Banelings, and we have some mutas in the mix now, and the mutas are going to come in. There's a medevac there full of units, and you kind of see he's using great micro there. He's actually dropping the units while moving the medevac, so that's wonderful. He's hitting the drop button and clicking on the medevac and actually dropping them while it's moving, and it continues to heal, which is super great. And we do see that his forces are thinning out here, and the mutas are going to have some reinforcement lanes here shortly also, as far as some Banelings coming in also. And it looks like the Terran player is going to get pushed back for now. The question is, can he get out of there with the medevacs, or are the mutas going to take it? The mutas are chasing down the medevacs. Oh, and look, we have some good reinforcements there. The medevacs are able to heal up again, and the Lings are going in. We do have some more medevacs showing up also, but there's just not enough bio at this point. There's only one Marauder left, and it looks like the medevacs are going to get shot down as they're running away here. The mutas are able to chase this one down, and it goes down there. So here comes some more reinforcement, and it looks like Mark is going to back off for now. That was good pressure, but he just doesn't have enough forces at this point to keep it going. He's still only at 50 harvesters and only about 50 army supply also, and we do have a larger lost units for the Zerg, but that's kind of to be expected because their units are a little bit cheaper, a little bit more throwaway, even though bio itself is fairly inefficient at times also. Now we can see that both players are continuing to macro up. The Terran's going for more upgrades and production buildings. The Zerg is going for another hatchery, is also going to get the infestation pit to head up to Hive so he can get Ultralisks. But at this point we do see the Terran playing Mark going in for a little bit more aggression here. He's going to push into the Lings and the Mutas here, and there's just not that much Zerg army there, but there's a little bit of a flank here coming from the Lings. But the Mutas are pushing in and able to get everything back, but again, great splits. Those Banelings were only able to kill like maybe 4 Marines out of all of them, but it looks like the Mutalisks are a little bit too much, and they're going to run down most of these medevacs here. We do have some Marauders coming in the back, but that's not going to be enough. Those medevacs are trying to get out of there as much as possible. They can boost, but they're just going a little bit slow. And here come the Mutas. And the Mutas are able to take down 1. They're able to take down 2. The one with the units looks like it's able to get away though, and here we have some more Marines here to help back it up, and they're going to push those Mutas all the way back. Now, as we're going through this, it's kind of important to note that the Zerg player has no vision of the other side of the map. And I'll start putting the Zerg player's first person view up so that we can kind of see what he's looking at, but it's important to note that he has no idea where that army is until he actually runs into it at this point. He has no overlords or changelings anywhere in the composition, and the overseers he does have, he's using just basically for mines. Now we do have a small engagement here where the Zerg player is pushing forward, surrounds a bunch of Marines, and he's coming in, and we see another great split by the Terran player. He's able to pull those Marines in different directions, and those Banelings, they're going to come in and get maybe 3 again. So there's 3 Banelings for 3 Marines. That's a great trade for the Terran player, and it looks like those Overseers are going to get chased down and shot also. Now, those Overseers, where they don't seem that important, but when you're playing against Biomine, they become highly important because those mines will do damage when you least expect it. The upgrades are about to finish for the Terran player. He's taking a 4th base, and it looks like we have a drop going up to the north side, probably to where the 4th base is of the Zerg player. Meanwhile, on the Zerg side, we do have more Mutas coming out. Another upgrade for the Lings. We have more Overlords being produced because the Overseers are getting sniped off. And we see the Terran player flying over the 4th base at this point, but he's not dropping. He's actually heading into the main, but that was seen by the Zerg player. And here goes the units. The units are all going to go back there and try to catch his medevac before it can do any damage. The medevac's able to drop 1, 2, 3, 4 units, and then picks up and tries to get out of there, but unable to. The Mutas just cleaned that up very efficiently. It was a very good job by our Zerg player Shark. Now, we do have a weapon upgrade for vehicles coming down, and we have more of the same coming out for the Terran player. Even though he is taking that next expansion, he's not really upgrading to any late game units. He's just going to stick to that Marine Marauder medevac with the mines, and that actually is fairly effective. As long as the Terran player doesn't get too many Ultralisks or too many Banelings, then actually has good connections, that's actually a very good composition to stick with. And we see another great spread, just completely, even when his army's in rest, just being prepared for that attack. You never want to be taken off guard like that. We do have a single Muta coming down into the 3rd base of the Terran, and he's gonna see if he can snipe off some workers here. And nope, he just goes in, looks for the scout, but look, he's heading out, but pulls the entire army from the Terran player back. If it's a odd thing where he's not taking advantage of it this moment, but that would have been a great time to go in and clean up those Widow mines. Something for future years. Now, the Zerg player is being good. He's expanding again. He's keeping his money low. Both of them are keeping their money low. Now, that's not saying too much because we do know that this is kind of a low econ game. Neither of them are at the 75 or 60 for the Terran mark as far as workers are concerned. But it is important to note that they're keeping that money low. They're spending it. They're getting the units on the field. And we have another great split there as he goes in for Stimson, goes in, kills off a bunch of the creep tumors, keeping that creep pushed back so that the Zerg has less room to just run with their upgraded speed, and also takes a lot of that vision away from it. Here come the Banelings. Banelings come in and the Mutas come in, and the Banelings get a good connection on the middle there. This Ultralisk is on a bad rally. That rally just basically sacrificed that Ultralisk. He didn't even take a swipe, but we do have 3 more Ultralisks coming in, and it looks like they're going to come in with the Mutas at the same time, which is great, and they're going to push back this bio. The bios clump together, and the Mutalisks and the Ultralisks in particular are just eating them apart. We do have the medevacs trying to get out of there as fast as they can. Oh, and it looks like, oh no, the Widow Mines take out every single one of the Ultralisks. Every single Ultralisk is dead there. That was simply just an amazing play just then. Whether or not he had those Widow Mines burrowed there for that specific reason, I don't know, but he was able to retreat over them. The Ultralisks, we were already damaged from taking out that entire army, rolled back over, and completely got obliterated. They were gone. No more Ultralisk in there. We have one coming out now, and that's it. The Terran army, on the other hand, since it's sticking with that mid-game army, is still very strong and very potent and very mobile. It's able to come up, poke in, and get out of there as quickly as it can. Now, we do have the upgrades finally finishing for 3-3 for the Terran player. And we do have the second weapon for the vehicles coming down also. And for the Zerg player, we do have just a complete disadvantage in Harvesters and Army. It does look like the Terran player is finally up to that good 75 mark of Harvesters, which is actually a lot for a Terran player because they have mules. But it's good. It's good in this case because he just needs that income coming in. He needs that income coming in. He already has a larger army size. Now we do see a good push there. Pushes the Zerg army back into the main, and then he cuts up to take out the fourth. Now this undefended base is just going to fall. There's nothing there to keep it except for a few spine crawlers, and they're just getting ripped apart. Now the Zerg army is coming to move up the back, but the Terran army reinforcements are coming up directly behind the Zerg army. There's just too much bio here. The Zerg army pulls back, but the reinforcements are there. Another great split. Good stutter step. Mark did an amazing job doing with that aggression and then going into his mid-game army, and just the micro he performed today was wonderful. Well, that's going to do it for our game today. It's a big thank you to Mark for submitting that game to our Cast It. It's been a lot of fun doing these games for those guys, having them post them. Go and check it out if you haven't been on Reddit anytime recently. I have quite a few games on there Cast It, and there's so do a bunch of other people who are doing great work on there. Thank you to both players who did a great job demonstrating what to do when aggression fails at the beginning and you have your game plan thrown off. They both went into that mid-game army very strong and had several great battles for it. There was a lot of really crisp, really clean micro. We have Mark dancing around Marines, around a few Zerglings, the splits for the Banelings, having the Ultralisk come in at flank for Shark, that was really well, and then that last Widow Mine hit on the 3 Ultralisks was just, that's probably the most impressive thing I've seen in the last month of StarCraft, the non-professional scene. So again, for everybody else watching, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe my videos. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter, and if you have a replay that you want casted, just email it to me, which is also down in the description. And until I talk to you guys next time, go out, play games, and have fun. And I'll see you soon.